Well, I don't give myself a specific grade, but I know that I have a lot to work on, and I got to get better every day.
When when you look back at just the experience of the skill guys around you, how big of an impact was that for you in your first game, having all that experience?
About us having so many great players and so many players with so much potential and such athletic ability, I mean, it's fun just being out there with those guys and knowing those guys. You can trust those guys. Those guys got your back. So, I mean, it's just, like I said, I mean, it's easy money to the point where those guys are going to fight for you. You're going to fight for them. And that's just where football come together, when you got teammates and you're gelling and you out there, everything's clicking.
Well, with all the excitement and hype from your first game, how has it been easier to handle that with everything that you had to go through with recruiting and all of that hype surrounding that?
Well, we just take it one day at a time. I mean, I put that in the past, just one game. Now we can prepare for Nevada, and hopefully we can have a great victory there too.
Do you pay attention to that at all? Do you try to block it out completely, turn it off when you see yourself come on TV? How do you deal with that?
I mean, I'm just being myself. I'm gonna be myself no matter what, even if I'm on the headlines of ESPN or if I'm on the front page of World Star Hip Hop. So I mean, I'm just gonna be myself. I'm just gonna do what I have to do, and I'm gonna prepare because my team, they dependent on me, and I gotta do what's right for them. And I can't have no big head. I gotta stay grounded, and I gotta stay focused and just keep moving forward.
What have you seen from Nevada's defense when you look at the tape?
I seen they're very big. They have a lot of potential, and they're kind of like fancy with the stuff they do. They do a lot of stuff with the safeties, and it's gonna be a fun week for us.
You had the chance to run out of the tunnel last year, but now being able to do it as the guy, as the starting quarterback, what's the excitement level like? What's that going to mean to you?
Just running out there, hearing fans screaming and hollering and saying Florida State, Florida State, Florida State. I mean, it's gonna be so fun. It's gonna be a great experience for me.
Just going out in the community, I don't know if you go to the grocery store or what, but what has it been like since that game? I mean, have you had a lot of people just come up and say good game, or you know?
Well, I had a lot of people say good game, but I'm trying to stay humble. So I look, I'm like, thank you. How your day going? You know, try to be friendly with them, just so they can say, hey, that guy, he's a nice guy. So I don't try to be mean and just shoo them away like, oh, I heard this a million times. But I try to be like cool and just like, thank you.
And after the game, I know you said E.J. Manuel kind of told you, did you guys have a conversation, or was that just a text message?
Yeah, we had a conversation. He texted me. He told me it's just the beginning. He told me to stay grounded and just keep working.
And, I mean, how much does that mean to you, just understanding, I guess, that I know he had, a lot of hype and people talking really positively about him, and then he had a lot of negative stuff. I mean, how much does that help you to see him go through it all and then have someone like that?
Well, having somebody that's been there and done that, like, you have to listen to them. You have no choice but to listen to them because you don't want to end up on the negative side. And then he has experience and he's telling you something. He has a lot of wisdom with that. So I have to listen and I have to accept his guidance with me.
Is there a biggest thing you've really learned within the last week, just with all the attention and everything? I know people are really impressed with the way you've handled things thus far. I mean, biggest thing you've learned?
Just stay yourself. Like, with all this stuff, all those things going on, just be yourself, and that's always going to lead you the right way.
Teammates at all? I mean, joke with you? I mean, is there anything?
Oh, it's so much joking in the locker room, but they know that I'm going to be myself no matter what. Like, I'm not even focused on that. They probably hear me talking about, I was singing Sweet Child of Mine in the locker room. They were like, why are you singing that song? Like, 'cause I don't want to hear y'all talking to me and saying all that crazy stuff.
Any new nicknames from your teammates after a big first game?
Nah, not no new nicknames. Most people can't even say my name right. So I was like, I know they're not giving me no nickname.
When you watch the film, I mean, how do you react to it? I mean, I know some people get disappointed with mistakes they made or tough on themselves. I mean, how do you watch film?
I'm more of an observer. So I watch what I do and I watch how I could have did something to make the play better. And watching the Pitt film, I just know that I made a lot of mental mistakes, and I got to be more cool in the pocket and just let things happen instead of trying to make things happen. Like, sometimes I made plays that I shouldn't even have to do that. I should have just made an easy completion, and it would have been good. So I always look at it like from outside in, just even though I knew I was doing that and I knew what I can do better.
Do you give yourself a grade at all in your mind?
I mean, I don't really grade myself, but I knew I pick up things on what I could do to make it better.
Can you take us through the first moment last year? I mean, you're going to be at home. I'm sure someone's asked this, but the first moment you got to run through the tunnel, what was that like? Just kind of the first time you ever got to run out of the field with the band, the cheerleaders, everything. Kind of what went through your mind?
Well, the first thing I saw was the cheerleaders lined up, so I was like, it's gonna be a fun year, just seeing those guys. And then it was also, I knew that I wasn't gonna be playing, so I was just excited to be able to get on the sideline and be pumped up. I knew I was gonna be able to use all my energy on the sideline instead of using my energy on the field. So I already had a plan to myself that I was like, okay, I'm gonna act wild on the sideline because I'm not gonna do nothing on the field. So I'm gonna find some way to give my heart and soul to this game without playing on the field.
This year, obviously, a little bit different because you're going to be playing. So
oh, yeah.
It's still going to be the same mentality, though, the same excited guy on the sideline.
Same mentality, same excitement, but just I'll probably be a little bit more down on the sideline because I got to save some energy for the field.
Gene Deckerhoff told me the one thing that stood out was poise. Where does that come from?
It comes from just coming up, being raised just to be calm, and then I learned the 3 C's from EJ: calm, cool, and collective. So I got to stay calm at all times, and then with having a coach like Coach Fisher, like him, he always give you moments at practice just facing adversity, he's yelling at you, so you got to be able to react, and you got to be able to come back at that. You can't just be down and just let the adversity take you over.
Just a young guy, you mentioned you're already able to identify the difference between being nervous and just butterflies. And that was just your first game. I mean, I know you played other games, but it's a different level. How are you able to identify it and just not even let it take over?
Because even when you're playing Little League football, if you're nervous, most likely you're not going to go out there and perform like you want to perform. But when you have butterflies, it's just because you love this game so much and you got the passion and you just want to go out there and do good for your teammates, and you want other people to help you out, and you want other people to see, like, man, he cares, so let's go out there and fight for him.
You said that, you know, your receivers could give you a hard time, but you could go right back at them and give them a hard time. But you're showing leadership already. Just, you know what, I'm going to back off. Where does that come from? How are you able to identify that right away and say, you know what, I'm not going to, you know, give it right to him and tell him he did this wrong because he's a veteran?
One thing Coach Fisher had taught me, he says, there's ways that you can lead people. There's some people you can push the buttons, and some people you can just lay back, and people are more of like listeners. Like you tell them, hey, bring them to the side, just talk to them a little bit. And then my dad told me that too. Like you can't push everybody button, J. Boo. Like you gotta just chill and let them do what they want to do.
Just how would you compare the way you practiced? I mean, when you see you on the practice field, you seem to be joking around a lot, smiling a lot, joking with teammates, singing songs, old songs. But when you watch you playing, you seem to be very locked in, focused. How much does that energy you bring to practice help you to like focus and just trust each other on the field?
Because you're trying to make practice is always going to be harder than the game. And if you can be able to, I can be able to quote stuff like in practice and just be funny and be energetic and do all that stuff, that's basically me adding clutter to myself during practice. So I know in the game, if I just can focus and lock in and still on the sideline, when I got time to do that funny stuff, it's going to be easier in the game. So I can prepare and practice and make it better for the game.
Last question.
Yeah, you mentioned about the pro quarterbacks, observing Brady and Rodgers. Can you talk a little bit about that, and you know, how you've been able to watch them and kind of take a little bit from each of them?
Well, me not being in the locker room with them, I can't really just explain how they are. But like I said, when you're a kid and you're just looking at these people that you want to grow up to be like kids, like they recognize the darndest things. Like we can see who's a good person, we can see who's a bad person, we can see who we want to be like, and we can see who we don't want to be like. So those players, like you obviously can see, they had success for a long time. Brady's been in the league for a long time now. He's got 3 rings. I mean, it's when you're a kid and you're just seeing that, you're just like, man, that guy, he doing something right. So you might as well follow that path than follow the path that when somebody's doing something wrong.